Please repeat after me. I, Laura Weber Baldwin.
I, Laura Weber Baldwin.
Take thee, Lucas Lorenzo Spencer.
Take thee, Lucas Lorenzo Spencer.
To be my lawful wedded husband.
To be my lawful wedded husband. To have and to hold from this day forward. For better, for worse, for richer, for poorer. In sickness and in health. To love and to cherish. Until death do us part. And thereto I pledge thee my troth.
Forasmuch as Luke and Laura have consented together in holy wedlock and have witnessed the same before God in this company, and thereto have given and pledged their troth, each to the other, and have declared the same by giving and receiving a ring, and by joining hands, by the power vested in me by the authority of the state of New York, I pronounce that they are husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
A true daytime giant has passed. This is the GH Fancast, and today we dedicate our deep dive to remembering Anthony Geary and unpacking the massive legacy of Luke Spencer. Stay to the end to see a brief highlight reel of the late, great Anthony Geary.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're truly sifting through the sources on the life and career of a figure who was, and this is no hyperbole, an absolute giant in American television.
A true icon.
We're talking about Anthony Geary, who defined an entire genre and who recently passed away on December 14th, 2025. He was 78. Okay, let's unpack this. The monumental legacy Geary left as Luke Spencer on General Hospital isn't just about, high ratings.
No, not at all. It's about a complete cultural disruption.
Exactly.
And that's really the mission of this deep dive for you, the listener. Our sources detail a 40-year career that fundamentally transformed the whole identity of the daytime soap opera.
He didn't just star in a show.
He created the definitive supercouple archetype. He earned a record-breaking 8 Emmy Awards, and then he used all that celebrity leverage to secure the quiet, rewarding life he always wanted, half a world away.
And it's so unlikely when you look at his origins. I mean, the path to becoming this global television icon, it just doesn't seem possible.
All right.
He was born Tony Dean Geary in Colville, Utah, back in 1947. Raised in a pretty strictly Mormon household.
And he spoke about that later in life, very candidly. He described feeling a deep sense of repression from that upbringing.
But he also credited it with something, didn't he?
He did. He always balanced that critique by, acknowledging that it provided him with a really strong, secure family base, which is such a telling detail when you think about the chaos his famous character would later embody.
He started out so far from Port Charles, just doing that typical 1970s episodic TV work. The sources note early spots on shows like Room 222.
And there's that great anecdote about All in the Family.
Oh, right. He played a character named Roger, who Archie Bunker immediately decides is, quote, effeminate. A very common sort of dramatic vehicle at the time.
But his jump into the soap world, that's where the irony really kicks in. Before General Hospital ever called, he did a 6-month stint on The Young and the Restless.
As George Curtis.
As George Curtis, a character who was introduced as a rapist, and Geary specifically declined to continue the role when the writers wanted to, quote, rehabilitate him into a romantic lead. He said he wanted to do films instead.
So he literally rejected that exact plot device, only to land at General Hospital and immediately stumble into the biggest and most controversial storyline of his entire career.
And what's fascinating here is you have to understand the desperate context of General Hospital in 1978.
The show was failing.
It was almost canceled. The executive producer, Gloria Monty, was under immense pressure. The network basically gave her just a few weeks to turn things around.
Wow.
She needed electricity, some kind of spark, and that desperation led directly to the creation of Luke Spencer.
And he wasn't even meant to be a permanent fixture. He was brought on as a temporary villain, right? A hitman.
A 13-week story arc, that was the plan. But the moment they paired him with Jeannie Francis as Laura Weber, the audience reaction was just...
instantaneous.
Yeah.
And overwhelming.
Exactly. And we absolutely have to discuss the foundation of that connection because it remains so controversial and so pivotal. Luke Spencer, the character, was a criminal and a rapist who assaulted Laura.
This storyline has so much weight, even today. For decades, Jeannie Francis had to publicly address it, often trying to justify it from a narrative standpoint.
But she stopped doing that.
In recent years, yes.
Yeah.
The sources highlight she finally just said, it's awful, they shouldn't have done it.
And that quote is so essential because it speaks to the historical context. But what might be even more revealing is the shocking term the writers and the network used at the time.
The rape-seduction.
Rape-seduction. I mean, it's a narrative sleight of hand designed to soften this incredibly complex ethical problem and just make the romance palatable for a daytime audience.
It's a clear case of commercial desperation driving the content. They took something unforgivable, they rebranded it.
Yeah. And the audience bought it. Completely. The show didn't lean into the controversy. It pivoted hard to love and redemption. The sources are so clear that the audience reaction to the chemistry between Geary and Francis drove that entire shift.
This scoundrel and the innocents.
It didn't just save the show, it pioneered the entire supercouple concept. Every other soap was suddenly scrambling to find their own version of that lightning in a bottle appeal.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The popularity of Luke and Laura, it just transcended the soap opera format. They became, full-fledged 1980s cultural phenomenons. Mainstream celebrities.
And the defining moment was the wedding 3 years later, November 16th and 17th, 1981. It wasn't just a high-rated episode.
No, it still holds the record.
The highest-rated soap opera episode of all time. An estimated 30 million people watched it.
30 million. That's primetime finale numbers. And you've hit a nerve when Hollywood legends start showing up.
Elizabeth Taylor. She made this headline-grabbing cameo as Helena Cassadine, Mikos' widow, who bursts in to curse the marriage. Even Princess Diana reportedly sent champagne to the set.
Just incredible.
That kind of celebrity power is unheard of in daytime, but the impact went beyond ratings. This partnership completely transformed General Hospital's DNA.
Right. Before them, the show was, about a hospital.
Exactly. Traditional dramas, alcoholism, cancer, divorce.
But the moment the supercouple took over, the whole show just shifted into action-adventure territory. The hospital became a backdrop.
Think about the Ice Princess saga. Instead of debating medical ethics, Luke and Laura are teaming up with a spy, Robert Scorpio, to defeat a villain who's threatening to freeze the world.
With a carbonic snow machine.
A carbonic snow machine.
It sounds like something ripped straight from a 1960s James Bond film, not daytime TV. I mean, how did the sources frame that shift? It seems so ridiculous, but it worked.
Oh, absolutely. Critics called these new plots comic book fantasies. But the ridiculousness was the whole point. It brought in a much younger demographic that was used to primetime adventure.
So they basically created a new subgenre.
An escapist one, right inside daytime TV. By abandoning the internal dramas for these external, globe-trotting threats.
And it's so astonishing that at this exact moment, at the peak of his fame, pulling in 30 million viewers, Geary was actively trying to escape the role.
He felt completely trapped. The sources show he really struggled with being seen only as a soap actor. There's this one poignant moment where the director, Oliver Stone, was interested in casting him for the film Salvador.
But the offer was pulled.
It was rescinded as soon as Stone learned he was a leading man on a soap. The bias was just that intense.
So he worked so hard to break that stereotype. And that led to one of my favorite anecdotes from the sources. His quest for a role in the Weird Al Yankovic movie, UHF.
Philo, the eccentric scientist.
A small supporting role. But he didn't just audition for it.
No, he went full method. To get the part, he grew his hair out long and wild like Einstein, and apparently stayed in character for his whole meeting with the casting team.
He saw a low-budget comedy with Weird Al as his ticket to cinematic credibility.
A huge contrast to the high-stakes drama he was famous for. It just shows how desperate he was to shed that Luke Spencer identity.
But the audience just would not let him go. He eventually returned, and even when he came back in 1991, he negotiated a specific deal to play a different character.
Luke's look-alike cousin, Bill Eckert. Geary was adamant he wanted to try something new.
But the audience rebelled.
They did. The sources are very clear. There was poor feedback from the viewing public, and the storyline with Bill Eckert. It didn't last. The character was killed off, and Geary had to resume the role of Luke Spencer in 1993. The demand was just too powerful.
And it was that second long run starting in the 90s that really solidified his status as the undisputed Emmy King.
I mean, this is a truly unprecedented achievement. He holds the record for the most Daytime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series.
8 times.
8 times. In 82, 99, 2004, 06, 08, 2012, and 2015, he officially set the new record back in 2006 with his 5th win. It's a bar that may never be reached.
That kind of longevity, winning across 4 decades, just shows his incredible ability to adapt a character, a testament to his depth as a performer.
And that long run gave him the leverage to start negotiating not just for salary, but for his lifestyle. And this gives us a critical insight into his priorities.
For the time off.
Exactly. As he got older, the sources detail this unique contract where he traded potential pay raises for time off.
It's a fascinating tactic.
Yeah.
Instead of more money, he negotiated a work schedule of only 31 weeks a year.
Which allowed for these tremendously long annual vacations. It was a proactive move to reclaim his personal life and escape the grind he so often mentioned.
And that desire for peace led to his permanent departure. In May 2015, Geary announced he was leaving General Hospital, saying he was, quote, weary of the grind.
Though he did make one quick cameo in 2017, which was fittingly to help usher his longtime co-star Jane Elliott into her retirement.
And that departure led him to the final quiet chapter of his life. His personal life, which he kept so discreet, became his focus. The sources confirm he met his long-term partner, Claudio Gama, way back in February 1995.
And they made it official. They got married in February 2019. After he retired, the couple moved permanently to Amsterdam.
A place he'd owned a home for years.
Right, and it became the place where he finally found the total anonymity and peace he'd been looking for.
It's such a beautiful counterpoint to the chaotic life of Luke Spencer. He traded Hollywood superstardom for a quiet Dutch life. There's that quote of him saying, "I live in the city that I've always wanted to live in my whole life, and as somebody who loves me."
It sounds like the ultimate happy ending, really.
It does.
And that quiet life continued right until his final days. Geary died in Amsterdam on December 14th, 2025. He was 78, and it was due to complications from a surgical procedure 3 days earlier.
And he worked right up until the end.
The testament to his dedication. His very final acting credit was a scene filmed just days before his death with his former co-star Anders Hove.
The tributes that poured in were just. They reflected so much love and respect. Unsurprisingly, Jeannie Francis said she was crushed.
Powerful tribute.
She said that Geary spoiled her in regards to leading men for the rest of my life.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the consensus among critics is that his impact is just immeasurable. He wasn't just beloved, he was a revolutionary. Soaps She Knows captured it perfectly, I think.
What did they say?
They called Luke Spencer an irresistible scoundrel and a character fashioned from a mold that was long ago broken. He defined what a modern, flawed, controversial, but ultimately compelling soap hero could be.
So what does this all mean? Anthony Geary wasn't just a decorated actor. He was a profound cultural force. He redefined daytime celebrity. He proved that these epic, globe-trotting adventure stories could thrive in the soap format, and he permanently changed the genre.
It's a remarkable synthesis, isn't it? A record-setting career built on this controversial, almost desperate foundation that somehow made television history, which then allowed him to leverage all of that to get the quiet, rewarding life he always wanted with his husband in the Netherlands.
He achieved the highest possible visibility and then traded it all for anonymity in Amsterdam. The sources mention that ABC repeatedly brought Luke and Laura back, specifically to save the show's ratings when it was teetering on cancellation. So think about the tremendous, maybe impossible psychological pressure that puts on an actor. So for you, the listener, here's a final thought. What psychological cost does it take to become the single person responsible for saving an entire industry genre? That's something worth exploring on your own.
Big lie. You were conceived, born, and raised in love. Nothing but love. And what happened between me and Laura a long time ago, and what happens between us now, are personal matters between a man and his wife. And they don't concern you. And the darkest places in my soul are not yours to examine on demand.
I think I just saw my in go out.
No, I told you. Listen! I'm here to talk to Jason.
Yeah, well, I told you he's not here.
Well, I'll wait.
Did you rape my mother?
Stay well, stay put, my man.
Don't get too tan now. I don't think I'd recognize you without that sickly gray pallor.
I'm so glad to be part of your family. Back at you. Dark ex-Bruno. You have a hell of a journey.
It was 25 years ago today that we stood before a crowd, and I promised to love you for the rest of my life. And my love for you burns as strong and as sure as ever. Nothing ever has or will extinguish that flame.
God, I'm sorry, man. To lose a kid is the worst kind of hell.
You whack me over the head, drag me off to Greece, throw me in a cell, take me out once a month, clean me up, drug me up, and use me for some sick psychosexual game. Then you leave my cell door open today so I can find you in bed. You tell me you're dying and that the long-dead Mikos has some bastard son named Valentine who's gonna wreak havoc on all of us. Son of a bitch, you bet it's too much.
5, 6,